So in this video we are going to talk about the absolute brilliant team New Zealand. So New Zealand, like, what is the strategy behind New Zealand? What is the thought process? What is the mentality, and who is the mastermind behind New Zealand's success in multi-nation tournaments or like such big World Cups tournament? Like, how do New Zealand, like, people keep on saying that New Zealand is a weak team, and suddenly in such big tournament they become the dark horses, or they perform so well. How do they do it? If you see the history in recent past, like from 2015 ODI World Cup, they were the finalist. Then in 2019 ODI World Cup, they were again the finalist. And they actually did not lose that World Cup. They lost on some technicality, as the match was tied, the super over was tied, and then England won on based on number of boundaries. So they actually didn't lose that World Cup. And then in 2021 T20 World Cup, they became the finalists. Then in 2022 T20 World Cup, they again played very well. So who is the mastermind? So if you see who are the common people in all these tournaments, are like some players like Tim Southee, Kane Williamson, Trent Bolt. So these are some of the players, Mitchell Santner, who are common in all these World Cups. So how do they do it? How also I have realized one very specific thing, like as we know that the first match of the World Cup is the match between the finalists of the previous World Cup. So like this World Cup's first match was between New Zealand and England, who were the finalists of the last World Cup. Similarly, if you see the T20 World Cup that was held last year, the first match was between Australia and New Zealand, and it was in Australia. So Australia were the host team, and the previous World Cup's finalists, the 2021 World Cup finalists, which held in Dubai, the finalists were Australia and New Zealand. So the first match was between Australia and New Zealand. So New Zealand has some ability that in the first match they make such an impact that they literally knock off a major team. Like in the 2022 World Cup, they defeated Australia so badly that Australia wasn't able to recover from that loss, and they literally were out in the league stage only. Australia didn't even make it to the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup last year, uh, after being the winner of the last World Cup and the host nation of the current World Cup. Similarly, this time around, England, which was considered as a sure shot semi-finalist this year in this World Cup, current World Cup, which is going on in India, but they had such a defeat against New Zealand in the first game that they are literally suffering so much that they have lost 4 out of their first 5 matches, and they are out of the tournament in the league stage itself. So what is this thing that New Zealand does so well, that they perform so better than other teams in this T20 World Cup? Obviously, every team has their strengths and weaknesses. Similarly, New Zealand has some of its strength, like the fielding is top notch. Like if you see Glenn Phillips or Mitchell Santner, they are like one of the best fielders. Like in the previous match against India, they caused couple of runouts at some crucial time, and they brought the match together, like close, which was initially looking like India would just it would be a cakewalk for India. But something they do that, like they have these small matchups that they have for particular players. Also they play as per the format. Like in T20 World Cup, they will play in a certain style. In a ODI World Cup, they will play in a certain style. In test matches, they won the World Test Championship against India. So there they will play with certain players, like you remember, like Kyle Jamieson was the main bowler in that World Cup, World Test Championship final, which he doesn't play the other format. So they have specific players for specific format. Then their middle order batting is very strong, like with players like Daryl Mitchell, Tom Latham. You do not hear about them a lot, but if you pick up their record and see, they are one of the best averages in the previous year or so. So they have very strong middle order. That is, if you see all the successful teams right now, like if you see South Africa, who is performing so well, who has the best middle order right now. So similarly, New Zealand have always a strong middle order. And they have some key components, like in bowling they have Mitchell Santner and Trent Bolt, who are left hand bowlers. So Trent Bolt, as we know, is a world class bowler for last many years, and like he has the ability to swing the ball initially and get early wickets. So whenever we play a match, it is very important to create a strategy that you will get some early wickets, because once you get early wicket, the other team is on back foot and you are ahead in the match from the starting. So you can do like execute your plans from the starting. So these type of strategy which New Zealand bring to the table, and the difference between New Zealand and other teams, I think, is that they are able to execute these things during the match. Like some other teams are, they have these things, but they have these components, like Australia had these components, but still they were not able to bring that to the match. So I think this is something that New Zealand is really great about. I think there is somebody who is a mastermind behind all this, like somebody like Kane Williamson, or somebody who has a mind like in India there was a famous strategist like Chanakya. Or if you see in Indian cricket team over the last 10 years, Mahendra Singh Dhoni was such a strategist. He used to have these matchups when the concept of matchup was not even like in evolved in cricket. Like later on in T20, now you see in IPL everybody is talking about matches, but Mahendra Singh Dhoni in 2011 World Cup, he had these specific matchups. Like in some match he'll play Srishant, in some matches he'll play Munaf Patel, he'll give bowling to Munaf Patel in only the middle overs against the right handers and ask him to bowl those cutters. Similarly, in 2007 World Cup, he had this Joginder Sharma, which was a very like not that great a bowler, but he used him in such a way that it was the best way to use him, like slower ball outside the off stump, so that batsman is not able to reach the ball and is not able to make a good connection. Similarly, New Zealand is also like that only. Like New Zealand has also always made of like limited resources, they have made the maximum use of them. So I think the main reason, like every team goes into the tournament with 11 players, but New Zealand always comes with 12 players. One player is the strategy that they bring on to the match, and that is the fun of the watching the match also, because like every team comes in with Australia has Maxwell, South Africa has Klaasen, India has Rohit Sharma. But New Zealand, when they come, they don't have any such big player that everybody is afraid of. But everybody knows that they will come up with a strategy for the other team's big players, and they'll execute it so well that they will be able to find a way to win. So that is really important, how you create strategies and execute them on the par. Now coming to some other things, like now you see who is the one of the top revelations of this 2023 World Cup, Rachin Ravindra. So did anybody hear about Rachin Ravindra? Is it a coincidence that Rachin Ravindra comes at the top of the order and starts batting in top 3? Nobody's heard of him before this World Cup. So if you see, like if you follow cricket closely, you will find that Rachin Ravindra saved a test match against India in Kanpur, which is a low turning track, and New Zealand were 9 wickets down, and he batted almost 1.5 hours with a 11th batsman and saved that test match. He placed almost 90 balls, which are 15 overs, against Ravindra Jadeja and like Indian spinner Akshar Patel, Ravichandran Ashwin, and he saved that test match. That means the technique is there for that batsman, but he didn't play any other match before this World Cup. Nobody knew about him that he's such a destroying batsman. They put him at the top of the top 3 in absence of their captain Kane Williamson, and he scored a brilliant 100 against Australia, and everybody is in shock, like from where did this batsman come? Like I haven't seen such a convincing win till now in the World Cup. Like half the World Cup is done, but still there is no such, like they chased 280 in like some 35 overs, We all know that Devin Conway is a class batsman, but Rachin Ravindra from Wade. So it is not just a coincidence that he came and started batting on number 3 and then played so well. Obviously, they had some strategy behind this. They had some plans behind this, that we will bring Rachin Ravindra in the World Cup. And in last match against India also, he made a very good partnership with Daryl Mitchell, and he scored almost 70-80 runs, which were very crucial in that point of time. So now I think, now coming to the next match that they have is very important match actually in context of this World Cup, because Australia and New Zealand both are looking like they will make the semi-finals. So if Australia topples New Zealand, then the table dynamics will change completely, because then New Zealand and Australia would be at same number of wins, and other teams will also get a chance to come close to them. Like they will have 4 wins each, then other teams will have a chance to come. But I think that this is not so easy, as New Zealand has looked so dominant and Australia have won against only the weaker teams in the last few matches. Initial matches against the good teams like South Africa, India, Australia were not able to perform that well. So I think it is a situation like they have performed well against the weak teams, but now they are coming up against again a good team. So now it would be very interesting to see like which teams comes up on top. I think mentally also, and like player wise also, New Zealand is a better overall well-rounded team, and obviously with their strategies in play, they will definitely all they have already played one match in Dharamshala, and they know that how the pitch plays, how the field dynamics are, and everything. So I think they must be ready with some plans for Australia, and it will be very interesting to see how they execute their plans again. And like we all know that Australia is well above New Zealand in the rankings, and otherwise also, like according to their players, Steven Smith, David Warner, Mitchell Stark, New Zealand doesn't have all those big names. But I'm definitely sure that New Zealand will come up with a strategy once again, and they will defeat Australia in Dharamshala in their next match tomorrow. So it would be a very interesting encounter, and it would be very interesting to see who wins that match. Thank you.